This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Ira.
Can we talk crypto instead? Because I just moved 10 G's, and I need to get your thoughts on that. I'm dead.
I know. No, it's just and like I told you, listen, man, it was a great run, and it just unfortunately looks like it's over. And you're in the locker rooms. I know they didn't want to be in the locker rooms with you guys yesterday, but it's sad, man. It's sad because it's been such a phenomenal run, as somebody posted on the chat board a little bit ago, and they're right. Nobody's done more with less than Jimmy Butler has, but it's also doing more with less is kind of taking its toll on you. And I find it really cute when fans tell me, no, he'll turn it on in the playoffs, and it's like, brother, they've needed the cape here for the last month, and he can't go to the phone booth to get it. And you're watching last night, and there were 2 stars on the court. None of them were for the Heat. And it just looked like they coasted in that second half. It was painful to watch, Ira.
You know what? I save and archive my accurate Pembroke Pines reports. So I went back and listened, not really, but just talking figuratively, to last year at this exact same time, when the Heat fell into the play-in, when they were going nowhere, when Max Strus and Gabe Vincent weren't good enough, when Jimmy Butler didn't play enough games, when Tyler Herro didn't prove it the year before in the playoffs. So it's the same thing. It's and that's why Big O.
He looks bad right now, Ira.
I know, but the Heat have looked this bad before. Now, the one thing I'll agree with, you pointed out about how much they're putting on Jimmy Butler's plate and how it's weighing him down.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it a different way. I think Jimmy Butler is weighing the Heat down right now for this reason. Okay. If you're going to keep telling your team, it's not important, it doesn't matter. Look, you can have a veteran team where you have guys like Wade and Bosh and LeBron, and they know what it's all about. But you and I have spoken all year. This is a younger team. This is Nikola Jovic. This is Jaime Jaquez Jr. This is still a relatively young Tyler Herro. You have young pieces. And if they see a guy who only shows up some of the time, and then yesterday, yes, Bam was not good, but Jimmy was not efforting last night. And you see that. So you sort of see a team and a leader and a walkabout. That's the problem right now with Jimmy Butler. He might not have the lift. He might be exhausted. I get all of that. But he has to play at a different emotional fervor to bring the group together, his favorite word, to get them to coalesce. And they're not right now. And that's the problem with having such a unique leader. He will never be a rah-rah type, but he can be the type that could at least lead the emotional charge. There's no UD. God bless Kevin Love for who he is, but he's an ancillary player. Same thing with Patty Mills as a veteran.
Kevin Love kept it at least it kept them like within at least some kind of a striking distance yesterday.
He was far the best Heat player in the second half yesterday. And he offered encouragement that if Bam plays like Bam, there is support right now, and they can have that taken care of like they did last season in the playoffs. But that's the one thing. They can talk all they want after the game. We have the emotion. We want to be there. This is meaningful. Show it in the game. Don't get down early like you did in Indy. I asked Tyler this after the game, not to pick on anyone. Not a lot of guys spoke. Jimmy declined to speak. But I said in the last 3 games that it's almost like these all-star voting. In the last 3 games that essentially counted double, the Philadelphia game, the Indiana game, the Dallas game, where both teams had major stakes in the game, the Heat wilted. Yes, they came back against Indy, but we all know about late comebacks in sports. Yes, they played competitive, same thing against Philly, but it was too much at the end at home. And last night, it just never got closer than 8 points in the second half. There wasn't anything there. Look, it's the number you've seen Big O everywhere. They're 0-10 against the top 5 teams in the West, 0-3 against the Celtics. So against the 6 best teams in the NBA, they're 0-13. It is hard, as I've spoken on these accurate Pembroke Pines report, to project something when you have no sample size that you've been able to do it.
Yeah, and that's my point. We saw playoff Jimmy at times last year. That guy's been completely MIA this year. And so I get it when, he took games off and all that kind of stuff. but this year became a little bit worse than it was last year. And then what's around him, that malaise has kind of grown from last year. And then you kind of got spoiled because of the success of last year. You're almost like, hey, we can do it again. And you and I have been watching a lot of basketball throughout our lives. 8 seeds don't do this often.
No, but this team did last year. The one thing I don't understand is not as much people in your business, but people in social media. We can also just wait. In other words, we can write all the epitaphs we want. We can write the obituary, but the corpse still has a pulse right now. You know, it's the old Monty Python, I'm not dead yet kind of deal up on the cross. It's the same kind of thing in a different spirit. We will know when we will know. And that's the one thing about this team. I won't know till I know. Can they go in Philly? Can they go to Philly and win a playoff game? I sure as hell would not think so if Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey are at the top of their game. Can they come back home next Friday and lose to Atlanta? Sure. If Trae Young goes off or if DeJounte Murray goes off, they could lose a game like that. Could they wind up losing a game to like Chicago? Sure, they could wind up losing a game like that if DeMar DeRozan goes off. So, yeah, the risks are very real for the Heat, but they also could win those games. Sean, am I still on and Big O off or vice versa? Anyone? Well, I will wait here a few minutes to be joined by Big O. There you are.
There we go. I think we're back now.
I lost you there for a second, my friend.
Yes. Yeah, you did on that last question. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, so what I was trying to say is you just don't know. Right. Should they lose in Philadelphia to Maxey and to Embiid? Of course. They'll have the 2 best players on the court, all due respect to Jimmy and Bam, but that's the way it's been this year. You lose that game, you come home, maybe you get the Hawks. Trae Young can win a game on his own. We've seen it. DeJounte Murray can win a game on his own. He did it at Kaseya Center this year. And 2-point DeMar DeRozan has the grit and toughness, probably more Jimmy Butler like this year than Jimmy Butler. So, yeah, the Heat are absolutely up against it. There's a couple of scenarios. They wind up in different seeds. We'll see it. Let it play out, because the one thing the Heat have shown us is doubt them at their own risk, and then we'll write the obituary.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it's going to be a hell of an obituary.
Definitely. But this one, I have to openly doubt. I have to say I'm really concerned about what I'm seeing with the Heat this year, and especially with Jimmy Butler, because I have not seen, Jimmy buckets, man. And I know that if he was himself in the last month, he would have turned it on a couple times. Because that's who he is.
Okay, and Big O, what if he's his 34-year-old self? In other words, we've seen 31-year-old Jimmy Butler in the bubble. We've seen 32-year-old Jimmy Butler in the conference finals against the Celtics. We've seen 33-year-old Jimmy Butler in the NBA finals. But you know this. It all happens to us. Big O, I don't know when it happened to you. But there's a point. There's a moment you get old, and all of a sudden you get out of bed, and it just doesn't feel the same. Everyone has that moment. And in sports, it happens like that. How many times, year to year, Big O, in any sport, pick your sport, pick it football or baseball or hockey, and you look at a guy a season later and you say, he got old in a hurry. It happened. I hope it's not the moment for Jimmy, although maybe if it is, then he doesn't have to worry about an extension. But you just wonder if that moment has already happened. I need proof. And you know what, Big O? Proof can't come against the go-nowhere Raptors. So if we're sitting here next week in our accurate Pembroke Pines report, and you're going to me, Jimmy was great against the Raptors. They're back. No, you don't prove it against a team that doesn't give a rat's ass about winning. That's the problem. The problem is you had showcases against the Sixers, showcases against the Pacers, showcase against the Mavericks. That's when I needed to see it. So we are going into the play-in or the postseason or the playoffs with nothing to grasp on, because these 2 next games against the Raptors, they're not going to tell us anything.
Yeah, no, they're not. But that's the reason why I'm concerned, because I think if we would have had the real Butler, he would have shown up a couple times this past month to put them into that 6th spot at least. And that's why I'm terrified. I think this is just going to be a really ugly postseason. I hope I'm wrong. I really, truly hope I'm wrong. Jovic, obviously, he has shown some moments, and moments of immaturity too. Like I witnessed last night at times when he gets called for penalties and stuff. He's kind of, he's and then there was one moment where he was having a small disagreement with his teammate about something some responsibility or something like that. I forgot what it was specifically. So talk to me a little bit about Jovic, because that's one guy that, man, he becomes more and more intriguing to me.
Intriguing in the regular season, intriguing with his growth. He is a very intriguing 20-year-old. I still don't know if Eric Playoff Spoelstra, we see how he changes in the playoffs, is willing to trust him. Right. So it would not shock me if they come out in the playoffs and all of a sudden Caleb Martin's a starting power forward. All of a sudden Jovic's minutes are cut. But if we're talking year 1 to year 2 growth, I know it's not on the award-winning level.
I'm talking macro is what I'm talking
But he is the Miami Heat's most improved player this season. That's all you want to see in the jump from year 1 to year 2. He's an NBA player. He can do something. He can be your starting four. Maybe with Bam being undersized, you need him as your starting four. So God bless Eric Spoelstra for, in the middle of all this chaos, he still found time to develop someone. He still found a way to take a step forward with the younger players. And now, Big O, you say to yourself, well, if you have Jovic, who's young, and you have Jaquez, who's young, going through a wall, but that's fine. You have Herro, who's young, but has shown the last few games they came back, he's still a bucket. Maybe you do look at Jimmy and you say, you know what? We're not going to take that whole step back like to the lottery. We're not going to do that. But maybe we move Jimmy for a couple of other young pieces, a Miles Bridges and a draft choice or two. And
they're going to want him. Who's going to want his ass?
You know what? A team that is close, but not close enough. A team like the Knicks, if they don't get there. A team like the Mavericks, if this doesn't work out in the competitive West. I would posit this to you. Jimmy Butler, I think, would be the perfect complement for Jalen Brunson. Ball dominant guard and a guy who doesn't need the ball. The Knicks keep talking about Donovan Mitchell. That's two guys who want the ball. Jimmy would provide the defense there. Jimmy would stay out of the way, and he sure as hell would be bring the playoff savvy. If Kyrie and Luka Doncic don't get out of the first round against the Clippers, Jimmy's a perfect complement for Luka Doncic. Again, a low usage player who still can do it when needed, but won't get in the way of your star. There are always desperate teams who go, look, I know Jimmy is 34. I know he wants an extension. I'm not buying his future, but I'm willing to pay for a year or two. You see it all the time in sports.
Yeah, I hope that what are you hearing back there? No more extensions, right? We're done with that, right?
I'm going to be honest. No one's going to hear that because Jimmy's people aren't going to ask about an extension during the season. The Heat don't have to address it. But we're seeing what's playing out. You come to the table with something. There's nothing to come to the table with, but if he gets him to the Eastern Conference Finals, then you have something to come to the table with. So you know what, Big O? If maybe before the game on Friday, mentioning extension to Jimmy motivates him, hey, it'll work for Jimmy. It'll work for Heat Nation. That'll be fine. I think Jimmy has to know that if he doesn't get something done in the playoffs, and this turns back into 2021 against the Bucks when it was horrible, he'll know to back off. There won't be extension talk. There can't be because of the way it ended. But if there's a playoff run and Jimmy is anything close to 3 of the last 4 years, then God bless him. I try to get my last pint of blood also.
No, definitely. If he all of a sudden puts on the cape and he does it again, then you're going to have to say, well, he did it again. What are we going to do? You know, it is what it is.
Right.
He's been one of your two most consistent players. You talk about most improving Jovic. This is the most improved player in the last couple of years in Duncan Robinson. Are they regretting? I get why they had to bring him back because you needed him because he's been doing so well. Did they regret bringing him back a little too soon? Because the poor kid never looked like himself when he came back.
You know what? I think that's the kind of back injury. If you brought him back soon or you didn't bring him back soon, he wasn't going to be right anyway. Right. So am I counting on Duncan Robinson these last 2 games? No, I don't care if they
upgrade you don't need him. No, don't do that. No,
am I counting on him for the play-in? No, and then you wait and see. But as we know, with these kind of lingering back injuries, not like Terry Rozier's neck spasms when he sleeps wrong and he has a crick in his neck. You're talking about lingering back issue. It's a problem. My question is this, and Big O, you know this. Oftentimes, people who have back problems will always have lingering back problems. And that becomes a concern about getting the right course of treatment. A guy like Ben Simmons has had back problems and he barely shows up. Hope it's not that way for Duncan because you know what? Duncan Robinson went from a negative contract to all of a sudden 5 years, $90 million. Okay, that's worth it. He's been that contributor. Duncan had a really good season for the Heat this year.
The Duncan's a steal now. He's an absolute steal.
He's requisitely paid as a team's 4th or 5th most relied on player. I'd agree with that.
Yeah, he is a steal. It's the whole Goran Dragic contract all over again. They paid him I think it was like 70. Really? And then like 2 years later, like, yeah, dude, no, that's the going rate, bro. He's fine. That's what
money.
it is.
You're correct about that.
Yeah, it's just one of those type of deals, and I don't really have a problem with that. I hope it continues, but at least Tyler has come back with a little fire, and I wonder if yeah, but I wonder if maybe personally he kind of gets to the point where he's also frustrated with, because he doesn't want to get injured. Right. Nobody wants to get injured. Right. But obviously he's got the worst luck in the world and he's constantly getting injured. So I almost feel like there's a little volcano that built up in him the way he's playing. That's all I'm saying.
I know. And also that the canvas is there for him, because if Jimmy's going to play like that, there's going to be lots of shots for him. If Jaime Jaquez is going to struggle like he is, there's going to be lots of shots for him. If Terry Rozier, who was hurting on Sunday, missed the last 2, isn't there, there's going to be a lot of shots. Big O, here's my concern. We're going to get to the end of the regular season, and I can't answer one of the most important questions of the season. Can Tyler Herro coexist with Terry Rozier, or are they too similar that it becomes an either-or situation? I really would have liked to know that going into the offseason, because you know what? Terry has a very tradable contract also. I know it sounds cruel, but he does. And there is money that can be flipped, and he is an attractive player. What I don't know right now is, can Tyler and Terry coexist? The sample size is fractional minutes so far.
Yes. The only thing I would say is that I think with Terry, and it's kind of what I expected actually with him, because a lot of people were like, well, sometimes when he's on, but when he's off and all that. And one of the things I was thinking, yeah, but Terry will become a better basketball player here.
Correct.
And I think that's what's happening now in the last couple of games. If you watch him, I think he will become a better player, a more efficient player. And as a point guard, I like him running my team more than I like Tyler running my team. And he brings an edge to his game, which,
and I like it. And it's impulsive. But you know what, Big O? Sometimes too many impulsive players are a concern also.
I know, but it's fearless too. And I also like that about him. I really like this edition, actually. I actually think that this edition has been a good one. And with the Tyler thing, until I see you around for a while, I can't trust you ever again, kid. I just can't.
And I don't know if there's going to be a while. Tomorrow's game back will be his Houston 2-3, will be his 4th game back, 5th game back. So you're talking about Tyler Herro might end the season, if they don't get out of the play-in, having played just 8 games after missing 20. So you don't get a sense of, is there an extended run in him? Because there won't be an extended run. Man, this team really needs the playoffs for 2 things. Obviously, to have a chance to win something, but to answer so many questions.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. It's one of them. And by the way, kudos to Highsmith, who must be going through a personal hell because of everything that went on. And he's fought through all of that, bro. And he's compartmentalized his life and his career. And he's done a beautiful job of balancing it.
And he's shown how important a complimentary player is. Yes. And unfortunately, Orlando Alzugaray, he's an unrestricted free agent after the season. So again, you're going to have that same question you had with Max Strus and Gabe Vincent. Yeah. How much do you pay a complimentary piece when the bottom line is that Haywood Highsmith is probably no more than your 9th or 10th man? So there are tough decisions ahead.
Yeah, but I just give him credit, because a lot of guys could have gone into some kind of a shell and, oh my God, this happened to me and all that, and that he gets on their minds, and he's done a great job of balancing those two things, because he's a terrific person, and obviously went through something that could happen to any of us.
Anyone, right?
Anyone, man. It's just a bad night.
There was a tragic accident, and just and there are consequences to our actions, unfortunately. But you know what? He has owned up to it. He felt terrible about it, and he has moved on in his career while still being the person he is. So I hope for the best for all involved in this situation.
I admire his toughness. By the way, what'd you read into last night when they did make a run? It was without Bam and Jimmy.
Because they were terrible. Because they were just like, I just need something more. But you know what, Big O? After that double overtime game, again, you make Tuesday hard on yourself. You pay for it Wednesday. If you get going in those games and you don't put yourselves in those situations, you'd be more rested. Yesterday was an older team running on fumes. And why is this team running on fumes? Because there's desperation in the last week of the season. Why is there desperation in the last week of the season? Because a certain player took a third of the season off.
Yeah, no, you're right. And as I said the night before, Dallas scored 130 in regulation. Miami scored 117 in double overtime. So, and last night you saw how free-flowing and easy the offense came to them.
You saw what alphas are, and the Heat do not have an alpha. Correct.
Yeah. What do you got going on in the Sentinel?
I broke down the 2 remaining playoff scenarios that get them out of the play-in. Highly unlikely, but hey, we get to scoreboard watch. It looks like it's going till Sunday. Very interestingly, if the Heat do wind up as seeded right now playing the Sixers in the play-in game, the NBA official schedule has it for Tuesday. It can't be. The Flyers have their home finale against Washington, so that will be moved to Wednesday. Could be as early as 5 or 5:30. Obviously, the Sixers thought there was no way they were going to be in the play-in when they put their schedule together, let the Flyers have that date. So the NBA has a bit of work ahead, and it could create real congestion for the Heat. Possibly could mean go to Philly, win that game, and just fly straight to Milwaukee and get ready for a Saturday opener. So the scheduling will be interesting. The upcoming schedule is interesting. There's a lot at play. The other story I just posted was Tyler Herro's small sample size, but man, he's looked good since he's come back.
One more thing before I let you go.
Sure.
I meant to ask you this. In Spo's comments yesterday, he said, we know we have a way that we can play, but it takes a certain determination. I'm paraphrasing, a determination, commitment, yada, 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 all that kind of stuff. Is that – it's almost like he's indirectly telling us, our team knows what we have to do. I tell them all the damn time, but we are not committed to what we need to do. Is that basically what he was saying?
Yeah, I think what he's saying is we have a way to win, and it's really, really, really hard. Everything has to come together. So for a team like Dallas to win, if 70% of their game plan is working, Kyrie and Luka will take care of it. For a team at the top like the Celtics, talent will take care of it. What he's basically saying is we don't have that talent margin to simply win it on talent. We have to be so precise. That's hard. Well, look, we even saw it last year on the run to the finals when they were up 3-0 in the Celtics and tied 3-3. Everything is the hard way for this team. This is not like Reinhardt just sitting there in the power play and he's automatically going to give you a couple of goals. This is not turning to Messi, although not lately, and saying, make sure you give us a goal a game. The Heat don't have that. Jimmy Butler is averaging 21 points a game and is the 34th leading scorer in the NBA. When your leading scorer is 34th in the NBA, nothing is easy.
All right, follow him on Twitter at Ira Heatbeat and catch his work there at the South Florida Sun Sentinel, or better yet, subscribe. Ira, thank you as always, my friend. Hang in there.
Catch you next week for our major play-in preview. Thanks, Big O.
You got it. That's right. Major play-in preview. I love it. I love it. All right. Oh, man. There we go. It's very nice. All right, that is our Acura Pembroke Pines Miami Heat and NBA report. And don't forget that at Acura Pembroke Pines, folks, sales are always going on. They got a fleet of certified pre-owned vehicles. They've got brand new vehicles out there. They've got the Spring into Performance sales event going on right now. The 2024 Integra, you can get it for $299 a month. The RDX 2024, $419 a month. The MDX, $489 a month. And guess what? 1.9% financing for 36 months at 15601 Pines Boulevard, just off of I-75 in Pines. Tell them that Big O sent you. They'll take care of you at Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines.
This is the Big O Show.